Hello, Mr. Ogle. How are you today?
Nearly as good as you.
Oh, wow. No, you're just looking wonderful. So I am Allison Peart. I'm the current president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica. And we're going to have a little sit down with our founding father, Mr. Phil Ogle, CD. Mr. Ogle, it is such a pleasure to be in the same room in the Institute of Chartered Accountants that you helped to make a reality. We are celebrating 58 years of existence. And as we do so, I want to ask you, what does that anniversary mean to you?
It takes me back to before the Institute was formed, because truth is that my contribution to the Institute was greater before it was formed than afterwards. But it gives me great satisfaction that the Institute has not only survived, but surpassed our expectations. Thanks to people like yourself and other presidents who succeeded.
Wow. You know, it's incredible because in a lot of instances, we think once you've achieved something, that is the be all end all. It's incredible to hear how, you feel as if you have given more before. So I'm glad to know that our existence made your life a little easier. I hope that is what it did.
Well, it has made me feel not just easier, as you say, but it has given me a lot of comfort in the realization that I've left something behind that has been carried on, and not just carried on, but as I said before, surpassing my expectations.
Excellent, excellent. Now, why did you think it was important to establish an institute in Jamaica?
If I may paraphrase William Wordsworth, it was bliss at the dawn to be alive, and to be young was very heaven, not referring to Rosemary.
Our executive director's last name is Heaven.
Because then it would have been, for heaven's sake.
Oh dear.
Anyway, it's really a story, a saga of being the right age at the right time. In fact, the best age at the best time. We were expecting to become independent. This was way back in 1957.
Wow.
So when I say at the best age, I was 26.
Wow. Impressive. I want all our young chartered accountants and prospective members and high school students, anybody interested in accounting, look at what can happen at a young age.
Matter of fact, at the time, I was not even a member of anything.
Wow.
I had barely completed my final examination and was awaiting admission.
I see. So you were waiting admission to the UK?
To whatever it was.
Whatever it was. Okay, I got you.
That would have been ACCA UK, but we had a Jamaica branch, which has always been misnamed District Society, but I'm told it was always a branch.
I see.
Um,
Thanks for clearing that up.
So we expected to become independent.
Mm-hmm.
And we all had great expectations. With one accord, we were determined to build a new Jamaica.
So this was part of that new pride of being a new country. We should self-govern not just the country, but our profession.
That's right.
I see.
So we, who were called the Young Turks, wanted our voice to be part of what we expected to have, a Jamaica of which glorious things would be spoken. We wanted our voice to be part of whatever was spoken of. And therefore, we figured to be independent, we needed our own independent body.
Wow, I love it. So you see what self-governance does. It sparks the young people to want to self-govern, not just the country, but in other aspects, which I think is wonderful. Um, I'm going to ask you if you have any anecdotal tales, but one of them, I keep hearing the Young Turks. Would you like to tell us where that came from? What is a Young Turk?
Um, it's anybody with fire in the belly.
Okay.
And three of us were rather young. I was the youngest of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's myself, my then partner, Carol Thorburn, and Vernon Changaloy, who emigrated too soon.
Oh, wow.
But we didn't call ourselves Young Turks. We figured that at our age, we would have no credibility. Who would know Philmore Ogle? Nobody.
Mm,
So we went to our elders and betters,
I see.
and we said, would you like to be the front of whatever we're doing? And without any hesitation, they said, yes, if you do the work.
That's incredible. Because in a lot of instances, older people, myself included, we sometimes, are afraid to put young people at the front. Sometimes, that's what I'm saying. But we should be encouraged to listen to the young and put them forward, shouldn't we?
Well, what's amazing is that their promise of support was so instantaneous because they really didn't know us too well.
Yeah.
And were happy to entrust their careers to us.
I think that comes right back to integrity. Our integrity first, because if the Young Turks were not men of honor, I don't think your elders would have trusted you.
So one of the elders used to say, each time we came up with ideas, he used to say, well, you Young Turks will have to be the ones to carry it on.
So he gave you the responsibility and the accountability. So that also comes back to the integrity issue, because sometimes if we come up with ideas but we're not held accountable, we sometimes don't carry them through. You believe that, or you think you would have done it anyway?
We always thought that whatever ideas we had would succeed, would be dominant. But there was no thought at any time that we would experience disappointment.
Excellent. You see, that belief in yourself is very important for any success. I love it. I'm glad that you did, because we are proud of our institute and we're proud of you, and we're happy that you did it and you're here with us today to tell us such amazing stories. Do you have any other stories that you would want to share with us about your time starting the institute?
There are things we did, like I personally took it upon myself to be the secretary for every committee.
So if you don't record something, it may not have existed. So, that's a very important role.
And I used to telephone the chairman of each committee before each committee meeting. And I would say to the chairman, look, let's do so and so. And he would say, all right, put it on the agenda.
I see.
So come the meeting, I would know exactly what he, the chairman, would be suggesting to the meeting. I used to write the minutes of the meeting in advance.
Really?
So come the meeting, the minutes would have been done already anyway.
I see. So, and that also ensures that you're guided and you don't go off topic.
So by the next morning, copies of the minutes would be available to every member of the committee.
I love that idea. I mean, people will say, but you pre-planned the meeting.
That's right.
Okay, so that means
To the last detail.
I see. So what if something came up that you didn't expect?
Nothing ever came up.
Nothing ever came up.
Nothing.
Because you were prepared.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's
matter of fact,
Mhm.
from 1957, we started to design what ultimately became the Institute.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So by the time the Institute came into effect, the mold was there, the design was there, and getting it going was just a matter of continuing what we had started before.
so we're actually older than we think.
Yes.
It's always good.
Yeah.
You know, usually we don't want to admit age, but this is a good thing to know. And I mean, it's a excellent example of, you know, the adage, if you want to succeed, you prepare, prepare, prepare.
Yes.
And so planning was very important in the execution. I love it. In terms of what you would want to see from us with our Diamond Jubilee, we're 58 now. We will be 60 soon. What do you think you and your young Turks, the founding fathers, would say about us in 2 years, or, you know, as the 60th anniversary comes up? You know, we tend to look at things in diamond, gold, and, you know, so is there anything you would want to say that you think is important to us?
My successes have made the Institute illustrious. So on that score, I would have no complaint. But what next I will say will stagger you.
Mhm.
We have a neighbor by the name of Haiti
Yes,
that's in a lot of trouble.
absolutely.
And what do? Just stand aside and look.
Mhm. Yeah.
So my idea is that under the aegis of the United Nations, Jamaica and Canada because of its French-speaking capability,
Right.
should be delegated the responsibility to empower and liberate Haiti.
Mhm.
And there's a role for our institute. But just to give some idea
Mhm.
of the scope of my imagination,
Yes.
and to an extent, I suppose I'm going back to 1957,
Right.
thinking that I'm still young.
You are.
I get into trouble
Once
sometimes.
there's life, you're young.
I get into trouble because sometimes my 92 years the digits get transposed. I think I'm 29,
But I thought you were 29.
and I get into trouble physically,
Oh dear.
like falling down.
Oh no. Oh no.
So
We can't have that. We're going to
anyway,
you. We won't have that.
At the constitutional level, our delegates within this HELP, I call it, Haiti
Mhm.
Empowerment Liberation Project,
Yes.
would start at the constitutional level,
Mhm.
always with counterparts from Canada. And the leaders of that would be
Mhm.
P.J. Patterson and Bruce Golding.
Wow. So we would span the political divide.
Yes.
And, you know, basically you would want to see the Institute reach out.
Coming to that,
Okay.
at the security level,
Uh-huh.
just call on JDF
Mhm.
under Mead, what is it? Rocky Mead.
There's a lady there now.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
we would get rid of those gangs in Haiti in less than no time. And Canada has an excellent police force.
Mm-hmm.
All of this has importance because Haiti is the conduit for weapons, firearms coming into Jamaica. And Jamaica is en route for narcotics going out probably through Haiti to North America.
So you're viewing it to say we're helping Haiti, but we're really helping ourselves as well. Because some of the gang, because persons or members, people listening will say, but why are we going to Haiti when we have so many problems here? So what I'm hearing is you're saying, let's start with Haiti and that will solve some of our problems.
Our problems.
Gotcha.
Our problems of firearms coming into Jamaica. Solve the security ends there.
Mm-hmm.
And we have our electoral office.
Yeah.
Can go over there and put them in shape. Our business organizations can go over there and help them organize. People like Jamaica Broilers would be happy to go back.
Right.
And because the credibility in financial reporting would become important, our institute should seize the opportunity of helping an institute there to become as respected as we are.
Yes.
Look into things like how they qualify people to become members, help them with their tax structure. And if we are afraid to send our people to Haiti,
Right.
you can bring Haitians to Jamaica.
Right.
Matter of fact, if we are funded as we would be, if the United Nations would delegate to Jamaica and Canada the responsibility, maybe don't we have a floor up here that we can...
We have tenants.
We have tenants up there?
Yes, yes.
Well, there you are.
But one of the things I would love to ask, would you be prepared to be part of that initiative? We would love you to be.
Not in the trenches.
Okay. So you would say you would be the elder.
I hate to say it, elder statesman.
No, but it's phenomenal to hear what your views are. What do you think? And you are right with your pulse on current events. So we're listening. We will take it to council. We'll take it to our members, and we'll see what they say.
But you'll have to go to the government with it.
Absolutely. What you see before we can.
Minister of Finance first, and then Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Agreed. But as you know, as a membership organization, we have to make sure we have our membership.
Of course.
Agreed. So no, thank you for that idea. We have been given a charge by our founder. Let us see what happens. With regards to the promotion, which ties into this question, how do you think our members can promote the profession? What do you think we should be doing to make people know what it is we do?
I don't know if you can do anything better than you're doing now.
Okay.
Because, we get so many communications from the Institute.
Yes.
And it offers so many opportunities for members to remain updated. I can't fault it.
Right.
It's purely a matter of continue doing what you're doing, Sammy.
Right. So in terms of making sure our members are engaged, we want to make sure they read what we send them and keep up to date and help us with, because again, when you are in your profession and you do well, people will know where you're coming from. It comes back to ethics again. So we want all our members to follow the integrity first mantra, and that in itself will be a development and a promotion, right?
But may I ask you,
yes,
are we close with UWI and...
Yes, we are. We're very, very close with UWI. In fact,
UTEC.
And UTEC, yes. We are very close with all of our... And we actually are currently going into the high schools to tell them about the accountancy profession, because every year there's a new accountant born, and we want them to know that they don't have to go far to learn about the profession. And we want to make it very clear that, some people think that accounting is just maths. So we want to give the good word of the amazing profession we have. And we go as far, the Institute goes as far as, high schools and even prep schools. I do prep
Excellent.
school, elementary, basic school.
Excellent.
I make sure I tell kids what it means.
Excellent.
So we want to do more of that, and we want our members to do more. And I think that just by living an exemplary life with integrity in your profession is also a great ad. So, you're a wonderful ad for the profession, because look at how much you've achieved, and you are brilliant and still very much aware of what is happening. So you're a great ambassador for our profession. So I have to say thank you.
May I give you an anecdote?
Yes.
Of the days when I used to visit high schools.
Yes.
I went on a careers day something at St. George's College.
Yes.
And they allocated time and space for people of various professions.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, and the room was chock full of boys.
Oh, wow. So the days when it was all men.
Well, St. George's College
It's all boys. Yes. No, I was talking the profession when the profession was mainly male.
Gradually, the room started to become empty until it was empty.
Oh, so when you went there to speak, there was nobody in the room?
No, not full.
And then they're gone?
Yes.
Oh, my. That must have been shocking. Where'd they go?
To the next room.
Uh-oh.
It happened that the ska was the popular dance move at the time. And Ronnie Nazarala, who was a St. George's old boy,
I see.
was going to give a talk.
So he was way more exciting than the accounting.
He was going to talk about ska, but because he was an exponent of the ska,
I see.
he started half an hour after me.
Mm-hmm.
So they came to my room, filled it up, but as soon as his presentation should begin,
everybody ran off. So did you go over there and listen to? What did you do?
I put my tail between my legs.
The moral of the story, music seems to trump everything, right? Music trumps everything. Boy.
So I trust you won't have that kind of experience.
It's interesting because what young people are interested in today seems to not have changed. If you bring a musician to a high school, they will gravitate towards it. So I think the moral of that story is we have to be relevant, and we have to do and include, because maybe if we brought our ska with the accounting, and no, the dance hall or the reggae with the accounting, we may actually hold them, because, we do have members who work in the entertainment industry and have exciting stories to tell. So, that's an actually interesting story that they ran off on you. But I can see where we could use that, where, we bring a ska man, or the equivalent of today, the dance hall, or one of the gentlemen, or because everybody needs accountants. So all of them would have somebody in their midst. For example, our distinguished member awardee this year worked very closely in the entertainment industry, Alistair Macbeth. So, I am sure if we brought, some excitement into the accounting profession in that regard, then we may have so many members that, the Institute would be overflowing. You agree?
Indeed. The other thing, though, is that people read more from not hard copy, but from something that they can call up on their
phone or their computer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we need to make sure that whatever news we want to reach them, that it can be available that way.
You're right, because sometimes we're used to how we did things. I have a a recollection of the internet not being around when I was in school. When I did my accountancy exams, the internet was not there. And their cell phones were not there. So, reading a book or printing something before I can read it. But you're absolutely right. With the changes of technology, we have to reach our students and we have to keep up.
Mhm.
So, I'm assuming you are very much on the internet watching what's going on.
Really, no.
No? So how do you keep up so well?
I do it when I'm forced to.
Okay.
But otherwise, I'm afraid I'm still back in horse and buggy hard print days.
Okay. So in terms of what that is telling us too is that our members span the wide cross section. So we have to make sure that we know our members, and for the ones that are into the technology, we use that. But for the horse and buggy, we make sure that we have a horse and buggy, and we will make sure that we do that. So we have to always remember our members have different needs. So thank you for reminding us about that. Thank you. The history book. So I want to talk to you today, Mr. Phil Ogle, OD, founding member. We recently published a history book for the ICAJ, which documented the first 50 years of our existence. Why should members and accounting students get a copy? Why bother to read it? What do you say?
Well, again, it comes back to what medium they're going to use in order to read.
Right.
People of the horse and buggy generation will read the book.
Right.
It's very well written. And in a way, it's captivating. But I wonder if the younger people might not wish to have it in such a way that they can
Digital.
Whenever they want, without having to turn pages, just click on something.
And it moves.
Yes.
That's I'll make sure that our PR committee and the ICAJ executives know that we need to make sure that it is in not just print, but online, that we can read it on a Kindle. When people look back and watch these tapes, we used to have those phones that they now call them brick, the big phones. Now they're so small. You look at TV and you look at movies from back in the day and you see how they were. We're calling it Kindle now. It could be, an iPad, but electronic version of it. So that way we can translate it in the future into whatever medium comes, because the future is limitless. I keep hearing about the metaverse and all of this. So you're absolutely correct. We'll make sure. But if we put it digital, and I'm assuming we can, why would anybody want to go through it? What is in there that we should be sharing or wanting people to see?
It has to be people who are interested in knowing how we got to where we are. And I don't know whether there's anything you can do to put them in that frame of mind. They just have to be maybe born that way.
I see.
Or
knowledge.
Yes.
Okay. But you did a series of interviews to be able to bring back some memories for the books. You did it with Professor Patrick Bryant, who's the author of the history book. What was that experience like? Going back into the past. How was, is there anything you want to share with us with regards to that experience of documenting the book with the author?
I think he has done an excellent job, far better than I would have been able to do. There are some things in it that need correction.
Okay, like what?
Well, not that I can speak to it sitting here. I've made some red ink notes in the book.
Very good. So we can make some second copy print.
I will give it to the Institute when I'm through reading it. I've been doing it in bits and pieces at a time. Part of my trouble is eyesight.
Trust me, I'm in the glasses myself.
I shouldn't read too long, but I still overdo it.
But we appreciate you doing this, because it shows how much you still love the Institute and you're not resting on the laurels of being a founding father. You're still willing to help. So again, we thank you.
willing to help, especially in regard to Haiti.
I hear you. You notice I make sure you know that with that idea. We'll come back to you with it, and we need you as part of any initiative with that. And anything with nation building, because we're an important part of Jamaica. So we're going to need your guidance in that. Have you started reading as you said, you started reading the book and you've redlined it. Do you think there's anything we should have included? Not to put you on the spot. Is there anything else you think, any area with our next time we're going to put the history book together? Is there anything else you think we should have covered? Or any other books you think we should put out about our profession in Jamaica?
Well, to some extent, the history before the institute was formed could be more exciting.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I have a whole lot of stuff at home. I hope they're still readable. They've been put in some huge plastic bags.
The storage
somewhere.
container. Yes.
I'm willing to make those available to the institute.
Would love that, because we have a library. George Willie gave us a library. We would love to have that kind of information. And as you said, make it, I'm sure there's some exciting things in there. So, okay, that's excellent. With regards to you, so we're going to talk about Philmore Ogle. What would you like to tell us about you that we don't know? Something that, you'd want to impart that we've not found out, or, something you want to share with us about you.
I think you know about me almost as much as I know about myself.
So we've covered it all. Good. I want to make sure. I
think so.
Okay, good.
But if you want to know something that's not all that glorious, when I demitted office as a member of council, it was really in disfavor.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Didn't know that.
Jamaica had experienced the greatest devaluation of its currency ever.
Oh, wow. What year was this?
Can't remember.
Okay.
But whatever year it was that our Jamaican dollar dived the greatest was the year. And everybody in their financial statements was doing what everybody thought should be done. And there was no guidance whatsoever from the institute.
Wow.
The persons or the businesses mainly affected were those that had borrowed money in US dollars to buy fixed assets.
Gotcha.
And some people were revaluing the fixed assets to match the depreciation and the foreign currency exchange loss. And everybody was doing it in every different way. So I said to council, let us put out a recommendation to guide our members as to how they should report.
Right.
I was astounded. The council said it was no business of the institute.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Wow.
And not only said so, but everybody against me won.
Oh my. Oh, wow. Interesting. Even though you're a founding father, it doesn't mean that your founding father meant that your word was the law.
And for the first time, I was experiencing defeat.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you can imagine the shock.
You must have been.
When I'd become too accustomed to my ideas being accepted and very readily.
Yes.
Only to be told no.
Wow.
Everybody else voted against the idea.
Wow.
Well, it took me about 2 or 3 months
to recover,
to realize that, hey, Philmore Ogle, you're in disfavor.
Oh, wow. No, when you said it took you 2 or 3 months, I thought you were going to say 2 or 3 months to recover, but I guess to really sink in that they
Yeah.
didn't agree.
Yeah. And that, in fact, that vote against was a vote of no confidence.
I see. So you took it to say, you know what, time for me to,
Yes.
to
So
depart.
I resigned at that stage of the game. But it wasn't more than a few months afterwards that the Institute began to take it upon itself to make this kind of recommendation to its members.
So you were right.
Yes, of course.
So you weren't really in disfavor, they just didn't know it yet.
Well, I was in disfavor.
So the moral of the story is to know when to quit.
Yes.
And sometimes the ideas will come forth, regardless.
Yes.
That's an interesting story. Boy, thank you. Boy, the lessons that we're learning.
You won't find that in the history
I realize
book.
it won't be in the history book. But we hear it straight from you. Oh, Lord. And it also means that regardless of how, if you're told no, it doesn't mean you may leave council, but you don't leave the institute. You're
No,
still
can't do that.
can't do that.
No.
So, know when it's your time. With regards to your career as a chartered accountant, would you like to share some high points, things that we should know?
I think broadly, my experience would not have been singular.
Okay.
It's what you come across in every practicing office, I would think. My greatest lesson really is that no matter how stupid a client might sound, and some of them do sound stupid,
Oh, dear.
they can't be in business if they're that stupid.
That's an interesting thing, because sometimes we think we know more than our clients.
Yes, and the important thing is listen to what he or she has to say and figure out why are they thinking this way. But it's the biggest mistake to just write them off.
I think you know more.
Yes.
Valuable, boy. That's a valuable lesson. How would you compare the profession now then to years past, knowing, what you know now? Do you think it's harder to practice now, easier, or no different?
Well, no, so many things are determined by a kind of catechism. Thou shalt do,
Yes.
and thou shalt don't.
Right.
You wonder if there is scope for the exercise of individual judgment.
Interesting. Because everything is so prescribed with you now versus before. Do you think that makes the profession easier, more difficult, or just because you're going with the times, meaning us, in terms of the prescription that comes out of IFRS or?
It perhaps stifles individual innovative ideas, because you're simply sticking to what is prescribed.
Right.
And can you provide effective leadership simply by answering the questions in the catechism?
Gotcha. Now, accounting likes to talk about comparability. So IFRS, in a lot of instances, the standards want us to be able to compare companies, similar companies. How would you put that in the context of the individuality that you speak in terms of, being able?
One needs to be aware that one size does not fit all. One can't fit all.
Right.
So one has to be able to be alert to the fact that in applying something so generalized to an individual enterprise, one needs to be cautious in doing it.
Right.
And not to draw conclusions which might be entirely irrelevant. So judgments, there's still room for judgment.
Right.
And therefore, does one have the courage to act in accordance with the judgment you apply?
Mm-hmm. And to be able to defend it.
Yes,
Gotcha.
more than anything else.
Yes, you have to be able to defend it. So now that you're in retirement, what do you enjoy doing? Do you miss being in the profession actively?
Not really, because I think it is in good hands.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay. Because, you know, until recently, you're a committee member. So, I mean, for 58 years, you served, even though you may not have been on council, you served recently on the disciplinary committee, and you've been active with the Institute for 58 years. So, you know, that's why I say you're in retirement, simply because you're not a committee member, but you're still very active with the Institute. So, you know, what do you do for fun? Know that you're not, you know, presiding over any of the committees that we have or being a member of one.
Well, I still read what comes out of the Institute. Not as promptly as Mrs. Ebb might think. Sometimes I might be trailing behind for 2 months or something like
You
that.
read them?
I read them.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, you know, certain things stick with us where we enjoy reading, we do read, and we're used to keeping up to date with the happenings. So I'm happy to hear that, you know, you continue to read and you continue to enjoy what's coming out of the Institute.
Indeed.
So the final question in the segment about who is Philmore Ogle, OD, what were the companies that you worked for over your career?
The Auditor General.
Okay.
Learned a lot of good things from that experience, which I took into the private sector.
Wonderful. Because, you know, nowadays, sometimes people don't realize the learning that you can get from government or public sector jobs.
That's very, very important. And not to write it off simply because sometimes they're archaic in what they're doing.
Right.
What's amazing is that there were things called general orders which government entities were supposed to observe.
Okay. And they were issued by?
They were the same in Jamaica, in Australia,
Okay.
anywhere in the then British Empire
I see.
that you went.
Right.
The general orders were exactly the same.
Gotcha.
And you could be transferred from one country to the next. Far away, the general orders were exactly the same. You could hit the ground running the moment you landed in the next country to which you were transferred.
I see.
I thought that was very important, that they were so organized at that time.
So organization is key as well. And so, you know, when you went into the private sector, who did you work with?
It was a very small firm at the time, a one-man practice, Ivan Heron.
Wow.
And I think the best I can say is that there was never any, at any time, even suggested limit on the way we could progress working for him.
Excellent.
The opening of opportunity.
Which for a young person is absolutely crucial. That's excellent. And you know, it also says, you know, I joke around that each firm started as a one-man firm. Someone's name came.
Yeah.
So it's important to remember, you know, because sometimes thinking the Institute is just the big firms. The small firms are very, very important because without the small firms, those, you know, we wouldn't exist because the small firms become the big firms. So with the more small firms that exist, you know, you really have to push our entrepreneurial spirit because as an accountant, it's one of the best things that we can do. You agree?
Yeah, you learn from them perhaps more than you learn from the big clients.
Yes, that proximity. Absolutely. So when you started with him, where else did you go?
Didn't go anywhere else after that.
But he continued to move into other.
We became partners.
Oh, you became partners. Excellent. And then what was that company called?
My partner Carol Thorburn became a partner before me.
Okay.
So it was then called Heron Thorburn and Company.
Okay.
And then later on it became Touche Ross Heron Thorburn.
Right. So what's Deloitte now was Touche Ross back then.
Yes. So within a short time, Ivan retired or resigned. So it was left to Carol Thorburn and myself.
I see.
And we used to stay behind after 5 o'clock and talk about what the profession should look like after we had served our time under our elders and betters.
I see. So you were even back then looking to see what could we do next? What could we do to improve? So it's a charge to our members.
But as I said before, I started to map out the future profession before I became a member of ACC or Jamaica's.
Excellent.
I wasn't even a member.
Wow, that's excellent. That's excellent, which also tells us that we should listen and find out what others think about us, because it will give us great opportunities and great insights. You can't assume just because somebody's an accountant that they have all the knowledge. We should be open to everybody giving us information and pick through and determine what works for our members.
Indeed.
Excellent. Well, Mr. Philmore Ogle, thank you so much for spending such an amazing career in Jamaica and for being such an integral part of the founding of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Jamaica. We must thank you and that foresight, and we listen carefully to the direction, the information, and we want to continue this discussion because I am sure you continue to have further insights. And don't worry, even though you no longer serve on a committee, you are still very much an important part of the Institute, and we thank you and will continue to engage with you. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. Grateful to you for having me here today and for listening patiently to all the madcap ideas.
They're not madcap, they're wonderful. And I think it's important not only to listen to our young people, but to listen to the elders, because both of them ensure that we know where we're coming from, because if you don't know where you're coming from, you have no clue where you're going.
Indeed.
So again, thank you.
Thank you too.
You're very welcome.